I want to ask you a couple of personal questions.
I love what I do. So I don't look at it as a job at all.
What keeps you insanely awesome?
Things will go wrong. They have to go wrong. It's Murphy's Law, man. I mean, it's going to happen.
How do you see technology transforming the guest experience and the way your hotels operate?
I love tech, but tech needs to be in the background where it's enabling rather than replacing.
Advice on leadership.
But the first thing is to listen more, talk less.
Hello, everyone. Hospitality has always been about people, stories, and transformation. And that's exactly what Voices of Hospitality is all about. We're trying to bring these stories to life. I am Bhanu Chopra, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with someone who's carrying forward a proud legacy while shaping a new chapter in Indian hospitality, Arjun Baljee, President of Royal Orchid Hotels. So Arjun, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks so much. Well, thanks for having me, Bhanu. It's a pleasure.
So Arjun, your family has built one of India's most enduring homegrown hospitality brands. What's it like to carry that legacy while also shaping your own path within Royal Orchid?
Well, firstly, it isn't so much as shaping the own path. You have to work with what exists. And my dad is still very active. Okay, so now it's a question of within the confines of budget and what is legacy and time, one has to figure out and meander and find one's own path within the company. So it isn't really that much a legacy, or rather building on that. You're building on a story and you're building on a huge platform. But India has changed, right? So we need to plan for the future, and that's kind of what I think you got my task cut out.
Yeah. So I know you've sort of grown in hospitality. I had the opportunity to listen into one of your presentations. You dabbled in technology. You wanted to launch a travel tech company, and then COVID happened. But growing up, is that how you envisioned that you will always be in hospitality and carry forward the legacy? Or other than tech, did you have other plans that love to learn more about, how your career aspirations have evolved over a period of time?
When we were growing up, my father had one hotel in Bangalore. It's called Hotel Harsha. And that for the longest time was, and Bangalore was a really small city. There were 3 or 4 star quality hotels. So I grew up in that hotel. You have all your birthday parties in that hotel. The hotel had a pool. That's where we learned how to swim. It had Bangalore's best North Indian restaurant. So that's where you went to eat. I learned how to, when you're having fun, back in the day, the telephone operator was pull out a thing, somebody dials in, you pull it out, that knob from one thing and stick it into the other. So you sit with the telephone operator and learn how to answer the telephone. And it was cute. Okay. And the hotel kind of becomes your epicenter of everything, of your entertainment. It becomes epicenter when you're bored, you go and hang out there. And the fact that the hotel also became a place where anytime you want to see your dad, you actually had to go to the hotel because that man was working all the time. Okay. So Harsha Hotel was really the epicenter of our life.
Were you staying at the hotel as well?
No. So we'd say, we were staying close by, but it became this hub of our entire life, right? And because it was the hub of our entire life, you get a natural affinity towards hospitality. It wasn't a conscious choice, but it was just something that you grow to love and you grow to belong to. And because all your childhood memories are in and around that one Harsha Hotel. And it was amazing. Life was obviously unbelievably simple back then, and it was a beautiful life. So it was a very charmed life. As far as we are concerned, as kids. But, my father always had this aspiration that, so he never studied hospitality. And for him, okay, listen, as all Indian parents are, and all Punjabi Indian parents are, that our kids will get in and the kids will take over the business, and therefore if they have to take over the business, then they have to study the business. And my parents went to the Cornell Hotel School to do a summer program, and it was really, I said, okay, my parents are going back to school to study. Okay, they did. They liked the Cornell Hotel School at that time, and the only college that $30 application fee my dad gave was for the Cornell Hotel School. Okay, after from boarding school when I had to apply after 12th. So that $30 fee went to the Cornell Hotel School. I got in, and that's it. Then that's the only college you're getting into, and that's the only college you're going to, right? And it was hotel school, and that's that, right? So it's almost like, your career path and your choice was determined by where you were born, and then you kind of grow into that career path. I mean, I loved it, right? And I absolutely loved the hospitality world. I love the fact that it is a confluence of design and technology and F&B, and every industry that you can imagine comes together in hospitality, and that's what I absolutely love about it. So this really was where I almost want to say I was born into it, and this kind of became life, and it is life.
If you think about, as you have seen this Royal Orchid journey, and you think about how the Indian hospitality, or just generally the traveler, is shaping up, and it's a lot of talk about how travelers now want to have experiences, and you've lived this legacy, and you've had this very strong foundation in Indian hospitality. So how do you think that the brand is now trying to stay relevant to this next generation of travelers that seek a lot more than just the room or F&B, but are also seeking experiences?
That's a great question. And Bhanu, I think this goes back to the prevalence of, say, social media all the way to the bottom of the pyramid. Everybody is able to see that somewhere in New York there's a cronut being made, and they want that too, courtesy Instagram. The idea of weekend trips. When we were growing up, the idea that there was a long weekend, I don't think I ever went on a long weekend chutti. It wasn't par for the course. It's a long weekend, you do more tuitions and play cricket in the backyard. That's all it was. There's one more day of math tuition, right? But now it's the long weekend, let's go out. And it's amazing to see multiple things coming together to enable Indian hospitality. I think Indian infrastructure improving, that is a huge bonus. The second thing is access to disposable income. We've seen over the years that, now I think we're at about $2,000 or $2,400 per capita type of story. So, when you're at these numbers, there is disposable income now for people to spend on experiences. I think families are becoming a lot more disconnected in that the idea of everyone living together doesn't happen. So there you got these, people moving all over the country, moving everywhere, living away from their parents and all of that stuff. So the way that they come together is now going on holidays together. So all of that didn't happen back in the day. Now, with technology, or rather access to social media, people have now become aware of what's going on, and therefore saying, hey, why can't I have that too? Okay. So that is, and therefore people are demanding experiences from us. People are demanding change. However, that doesn't mean that everyone is demanding experiences. Okay. That isn't the case at all. Okay. But from, be it the 5-star luxury end to all the way to, say, the value price segment, right? At every segment, people just want change from how hospitality used to be.
And Arjun, just elaborate on that. I mean, I'm quite intrigued when you say not everybody is seeking experiences. When you look at the different customer segments, some are extremely value driven. So how do you see, maybe elaborate on a couple of customer segments that you see and how those needs are changing?
Well, let's look at the core. Let's look at the core business consumer. The business consumer now comes to your hotel. If you look at, say, the value priced, let's start with the bottom of the pyramid. He's a road warrior, comes to the hotel. Really, what does he need in the hotel room? And what does he want? Okay. Sometimes they want a gym, not all of them do, but they want Wi-Fi to work seamlessly. They want air conditioning to work. They want their, the promised basics to be exceptional. That has to be there. Right? And the promised basics being exceptional, right, that is something that obviously extends across all segments. But the core thing is that I want proximity to where I'm supposed to go to work. I want to be able to UPI you money. I want transparency in the way you're going to charge me. Okay, I don't want any hidden surprises. I want cleanliness. All of that stuff that earlier was kind of suspect, maybe not there. Even the 1,000 to 1,500 rupee customer at the bottom of the pyramid wants that, and that's par for the course. Now, does he care about the hotel offering him a differentiated experience per se? No, he wants efficiency, right? He wants efficiency, he wants a great price, and that's it. Okay, so that's bottom of the pyramid, and that is the business consumer himself. Now you go a step above, like, okay, so the business consumer wants efficiency, but let's say, does he want food and beverage offering, or will he go out? Sometimes, and we've seen that now at a one step above value, he wants some food and beverage. But does that mean you do the food and beverage? Not necessarily. You can partner with whatever XYZ ABC restaurant great that exists in the neighborhood or in that city and bring him in and create that, so that there's a food and beverage experience component that you're offering to the otherwise rooms driven business. That's required. In the mid-market space as well, I mean, with the fact that India is 60% below the age of 30 and 28 or whatever that stat was, the next decade is going to be a hell of a lot of weddings and a hell of a lot of kids. It's going to happen. Now, therefore, and not everybody is at the luxury level to go and afford these big, crazy jamboree weddings, right? I mean, what happens to the mass, 80, 100 million Indians who are firmly in the middle, right, who want to have a wedding, they want to have an experiential wedding, but within their budget. So you need to then create hotels that are in the middle, okay, that offer, conference, wedding, meeting venues and different sorts of venues within that same premises that can cater to let's say the entire, let's call it the wedding audience itself. Then you go into how Indians do weddings. An Indian wedding is welcome evening, sangeet, mehendi, wedding, reception. Okay. Now you can mix and match and shrink it. But the reality is that if you're coming to a hotel, you want to have varied venues within that hotel that are, so their guests too see, say this is for destination weddings per se. Therefore, you then see different venues and each guest has a different experience per event. Okay. So how do you create that while you're selling a room at the mid-market price? Right. Okay. Hospitality is not what it used to be because now demand has gone up. Customer himself is more demanding. That's okay, of the kind
Absolutely.
of okay. And but the largest bucket is still the middle market in terms of volume. Okay. So, and we are firmly a mid-market player catering to the Indian audience. So it all kind of comes back to an Indian hotel company for Indian hospitality, Atithi Devo Bhava and all of that fun stuff. But now how do you create to modern Atithi Devo Bhava? Okay. And that's the thesis that we're now trying to adopt across the 5 brands that we have bucketed ourselves into.
So actually, a follow-up on this would be, so thinking big picture, what's your vision 5 years down the line? Where do you see Royal Orchid playing in this changing hospitality landscape? You talked about, I understand mid market, but there's the leisure traveler, there's the business traveler, there is now you talked about weddings. What would be success to you in 5 years from now on how people should think of Royal Orchid?
Two things. Firstly, Royal Orchid Hotels Limited is the listed entity's name. The brands below that we've now bucketed into 5 brands. We've got Regenta Z, which is the entry level efficient value first brand. Above that, you've got Regenta Place, which is efficient, quirky, some food and beverage. Your typically economy type hotel that is a huge growth driver. Above that, you've got Regenta Hotels and Resorts, which is the what you see is what you get, the typical Indian 4-star hotel brand. And the typical Indian 4-star hotel brand is full service, multiple food and beverage offerings, and we are now entering a phase where the design is becoming more efficient. The design is becoming more in tune with aspirational India, and we'll open our first one with the new design between Gurgaon and Lucknow sometime in the next 6 months. Okay, I think Gurgaon will open first, followed by Lucknow, and they're stunning, beautiful 4-star, efficient full service hotels. You then go one step above, which we opened in Mumbai. We opened Iconica, and Iconica is for where the customer, and I look at myself and look at you, we blur the lines between business and leisure. I don't think anyone of us shies away from continuing a meeting past 6. But at that point in time, at 9, 10, when you're still having a meeting, you want to have a great food and beverage experience. You want to sit by the pool and have a drink while having a meeting. Now, how do you create a product that blurs a line and makes it more lifestyle-y? And that's what we've done with Iconica. Iconica is firmly upscale lifestyle. It's firmly fun. It is firmly for the flavor forward, tech savvy, generation that mixes business with leisure and leisure with business. Okay, and we've designed the hotel in that manner. We're in the middle, and we announced this last year, but we're in the middle of opening a lifestyle-y boutique resort brand called Crestoria. And Crestoria is a portmanteau of creating stories. So your whole idea of experiences come back into, I want to have a story that I can tell after my holiday. I want to have a story that I'll remember for the rest of my life. I want to create a story with my children. So how do you create boutique, upscale experiences and hotels that are then focused around the fact that each hotel will have a beautiful hub of activity, so you want all the guests who are staying in those hotels to come and hang out in one particular room. And this mindset goes back into when we were in boarding school. In boarding school, you had all your rooms, but everybody had, your house had a common room, right? And everybody would come and hang out at the common room, and that would be of all ages, and that common room became a place where you'd make new friends. You'd play a game, and we want that sort of bonhomie among customers or guests as well within hotels. So the first one, I think, will open in a month and a half or so in Goa, and that's why I'm sitting here. Super excited about that product. So with these 5 brands, I think we're in a position to cater to the various customer expectations across segments across the country. Multiple hotels can go into a particular, or multiple brands can go into a particular city, catering to different sorts of customers. And I think we're super excited about what the future holds.
That's great. So look, I'm gonna shift gears and would like you to also enlighten the audience and talk about leadership. So I want to begin by asking, because you talked about, how your father has played a big role in shaping up some of your thought processes. So what's one leadership value that you think you have inherited from your father that continues to guide you?
But I think the top one is loyalty. Because in our industry, the fact that it's a 24/7, 365 job, right? You have to surround yourself with people who got your back and you have their back all the time. Now, this is a people business where it is human beings serving human beings. And because it is human beings serving human beings, loyalty and trust is the most critical thing towards building out a company. There
Yeah,
will be mess
absolutely.
ups, 1000%. You will screw up, man. It's par for the course. Okay, when you're
Yeah.
dealing with, but then how do you come together as a team to get each other's back and
Yeah.
think about the guest first to solve that problem at hand, and then tomorrow figure out why, what happened, blah blah blah. But that is a function,
Yeah.
of that solidarity that you got to build in the team, and I think that in hospitality is very, very critical.
Yeah. No, Arjun, not just in hospitality. In fact, I take a lot of pride when we actually listed the company we talked about as a tech company, how we were able to drive a lot of loyalty at RateGain, because the average tenure at RateGain is about 7 years. And I founded the company two decades ago. I still have a number of people in tech, can you imagine, that have been with us for over 10 years. So we also take a lot of pride, but I also, it resonates and I can relate to this quite well, because it's also important from a point of view of that, look, as you run the business, you're going to have your peaks and valleys, and you need a strong leadership team that sort of bonds together, and it just makes it easier when you go through hard times, just like we all experienced at COVID also. But anyways, moving on, I want to ask you, there are lots of young leaders who are going to be listening in. What's your advice on leadership?
Well, the first thing is to listen more, talk less. That would be the first thing. And I think in any business, if you
Yeah.
think of the business or your job as just a means to an end in terms of money, and money is absolutely critical, right? I make no bones about that. You got to turn around and it's got to
Yeah.
be economically beneficial and economically satisfying for you to do what you're doing, right? It has to be.
Yeah.
Now, but the moment you take the job aside and say, that again, when I say blurring the lines between how I think about my job and think about my life, you got to surround yourself with people who kind of make you become a better human being, both at work and both outside. And from a leadership perspective, like, listen, surround yourself with people who you actually enjoy and will stand, being around for long hours of the day. Now, in any job, like, listen, if I have to work for 9 hours, 10 hours, whatever that may be in a day, and surrounding myself with people, at the end of the day, I can't turn around and be like, oh my Lord, I hate being around that person. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to mentally impact how you perform in the long run. Okay, so surround yourself with people who you actually enjoy working with and who you can learn something from. You may be a leader by title or by birth or whatever that may be, but that does not mean you know everything about everything. And there are,
Yeah.
like, say I look at Iconica in Mumbai as my case in point. There is no way in hell I could have been the general manager of that hotel. No way.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's the general manager of that hotel today who's done this day in and day out for years on end, who's unbelievable at what she does. I can't replace her, even though I may have the title and the ability to do that. So you need to go in and have that the humility to understand where your limits are, despite title, birth, all of that fun stuff, and the fact that you were fortunate to be the leader of that wolf pack.
Yeah. No, the It reminds me of a few years ago. I don't know if you heard of this, that Google used to do this. It used to call it something like the flight test on, is this person, if you were on a transatlantic flight for over 8 hours, is this person somebody that you could sit with on a long flight? So that's a good test of, like you said, people you want to be, because as we sort of go through this journey, it's very, very important to make it fun and enjoyable while you're trying to accomplish and achieve everything that you want to for all stakeholders. So look, I know technology is very close to you. I've heard you talk about it, and so I want to talk a little bit about how do you see technology transforming the guest experience and the way your hotels operate?
So we've tried to leverage a bunch of tech. Let's say, my biggest guinea pig hotel today is Iconica. It was, startup hotel, startup brand, tech forward, and all of that. But the reality is, we are in a business of where you want technology to make and enable efficiency. And I actually don't see or want technology replacing human beings, where service delivery and that touch, right, is kind of required. Now, there was a study done between some of these restaurants that created that screen for ordering, self-delivery, and this is predominantly in the QSR space. And while it reduced the number of people and lowered their cost from an HR perspective, it also reduced the average bill per customer. Okay? Because the small idea of would you like fries with that, with a smile, was now taken away. Okay? And the customer therefore uses technology only for what they need. So there is an economic benefit to having a human being, especially in a country where the human, like India, we've got 1.5 billion head count. We just have to make them manpower now. Okay, that's our challenge. Yeah. Where are we using tech? So we are using really cool gamification and AI tools for training. We've actually got some really fun stuff that we're now rolling out. Of course, we have that entire WhatsApp concierge piece in the hotel, which makes it seamless and easy. We're using your products now from a, reservation and a discovery perspective. We'll have an offline chat on what I do think the next evolutions should be. I think it'd be pretty cool to make life seamless from a customer perspective. But beyond that, we really want technology to help our team know the guests better, know their preferences better, and therefore they're enabled to offer personalized service and experiences to the customer, even at the bottom of the pyramid. And technology can enable that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think we'd want this to work. Again, at different segments, Bhanu. I mean, I look at it, and we were testing this idea out, and obviously I got rammed back for it. But like, why do you need a TV in a guest room at an economy hotel? And I'm just thinking, when was the last time I turned a TV on? I'm like, well, I haven't. But would it make sense for me to give a tablet type of a thing in a hotel room which can order room service and I can watch a Netflix show on instead of a big TV? I just pull it out from next to my bedside, use it and put it back. I mean, so there are thoughts of how the customer is engaging with the product that you offer them. So we're thinking of that. And then we're also thinking about usability, right? I mean, you don't want to complicate their lives where you're putting so much tech on their face that it takes them 20 minutes to try and figure out how to shut the curtains. I mean, it's retarded, so there has to be that balance. I love tech, but tech needs to be in the background where it's enabling rather than replacing.
Yeah. No, I was reading somewhere you talked about how you're using AI for training, and I thought that was a pretty great use case that you were solving for, because attrition is a large issue in hotels. And how in F&B you talked about, just to train the server there, if somebody is asking for a wine recommendation and they go on like this AI chatbot and ask them, okay, what do I pair this particular meal with, and giving, I thought that was a pretty neat use case that you were solving for. But I wanted, and I know you are dabbling, including, thank you very much, working with us on a lot of the AI capabilities. But personally, what are, like, maybe what's one or two AI specifically initiatives that you are personally very excited about and you're seeing some promise, either from a cost efficiency or a revenue generation point of view?
Listen, I think the first piece that I'm most excited about is the AI in training, and the fact that you can gamify the whole thing. Now, you see, that has nothing to do with it. I guess it does in some way, but attrition per se is high. Attrition will continue to be high, and because there are so many opportunities at higher pay. Now, the fact of the matter is that whether somebody stays with me or leaves, leaves me, that's a call that employee takes at that point in time. But while he is with me, my job as an employer, right, is to make him better than when he joined me. Okay, that's my job. My job is, you come to me, by the time you leave me, you need to be a better person, you need to be better trained, right? So that whoever you go to next is actually thankful to us for you to get through that journey. Now, in doing that, we have to find the least cost, highest impact method, which the customer, and the customer for that tech is the is the employee, right? And that employee is only getting younger. As he's getting younger, you have to understand how he thinks. He uses every app under the sun today. Okay, be it a Zepto or Instagram or whatever it is, he's using all of those apps. His attention span has shrunk. Therefore, our old scale training methods of, let's have them in a room for 2 hours and do a classroom style, let's teach you standard operating procedures, that doesn't work. You kind of, I look at myself, and after 10 minutes, you kind of zoned out, you're done. Okay. So I have that 10 minute time to kind of drill down as much information where he's the most interested. So how do I create that as far as we're concerned? And that's what we're doing right now. We're building these amazing, let's say, games per se, which will take you from level 1 to level 15, and will compensate you monetarily. You earn stars, you do all of that stuff. So all of that is being rolled out. So I'm most excited about using AI and these tools.
And Arjun, you're using a third party for this, or there's somebody internally heading this up? If other hoteliers want to get an inspiration on how you're gamifying this, if you could give them some leads on how to go about it.
Well, there are a couple of things. Firstly, the secret sauce really is in the content that one creates that is specific to what you have, and that content is created in-house. Now, the moment you create that content in-house, then you're using any video tool or whatever it is, a chat-based, create your own bot, and it takes 20 minutes to do. But the core is not about the bot. The core is to create the content. And there is enough generic content available on the internet, but you don't want that, right? You want that content to be tailored to your hotels and your brand values. The second thing is the whole gamification piece of it, where you've got to employ the right tech or the right technologists to deliver the entire end-to-end piece. So, we are using a combination of what's off the shelf, and then how do you integrate it API-wise with the content we create, and all of that stuff. So it's been an exciting journey, and a lot of learning from I guess a hotel waiter.
I'll definitely want to catch up with you and learn a little bit more about this. It does sound very, very exciting, and it is a pain point, I can tell you, across the world, because attrition is so large, and just the ability to shorten that learning curve is very, very important. So we'll talk
Sure.
about that at a later time. So I want to ask you a couple of personal questions, if that's
Sure.
okay with you. Um, you're heading a very large organization. There is a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. So how do you unwind yourself so that you can, keep it together?
I love what I do. Okay, so I don't look at it as a job at all. It's just life. Okay, that's one. The second thing is, uh, I have it's kind of, there's a positive to it and there's a huge negative. My family doesn't live with me, they live in another country. So for me, part of that unwinding process is finding a little time and, every so now and then jumping on a flight and going and seeing my family. Okay, and got two boys who are, one is called 17 and the other one is 14 and a half, and they're at that age where hanging out is an absolute pleasure. My wife lives with them, and so it's just that the break to me is just getting on that flight, going and meeting them, and even if it's for 2 days, you just kind of go and switch off, and it's just it's required.
And where are they, Arjun?
They're in the UK.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so they're in the UK. So it's the fact that they're not here is on a daily basis can be a curse, but it can also be a boon, because then when you're here, you're working and doing what you need to 24/7. But then when you're with them, you're with them 24/7. So it's concentrated division of labor and time, which is great.
Yeah. You have any hobbies other than working?
Well, in the time that one has, I've actually now taken a conscious decision that I will lose weight. Therefore, we've, again, from caught with the AI bug, we've decided at Iconica, we have a AI-based personal trainer that I use religiously to do calisthenics and so on and so forth. And
nice.
you've got your data stored, right? So the trainer can tell you that, listen, yesterday you did 20 push-ups. Today you're being a lazy bum and you've only done 10. So get on with it. Come on, I want to see you do 10 more. It's really cool. So again, that's a conscious effort. Otherwise, it's.
Are you wearing one of those rings? Whoop ring?
No, I refuse to do that. And I tell you what, I used to wear the Apple Watch, and then you start getting paranoid.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I have the same issue.
I already have enough reasons to give me palpitations in the day with work. Okay. I mean, I don't want another one. And I've been told, actually funny you mentioned Whoop. Just yesterday I was told, you must get a Whoop device. My boys wear it and they swear by it. And all my friends seem to have one except me. So maybe I'll get onto that bandwagon, over Christmas.
Yeah, even my sister just gave that as a gift to me, but I refuse to wear it. Similar issues, because it gives you a bunch of analysis, and I don't. It's the same feeling that I have, especially on my sleep, because I think that's very close to my heart. What what's the amount of sleep and the quality of sleep, etc. And I don't want to know. Anyhow, last question. So, I always, whenever someone asks me, and you might have experienced this, how I'm doing, and I will always answer back saying insanely awesome. And that's, my way of keeping positive and manifesting positivity. So I wanted to ask you, what keeps you insanely awesome?
Here, you just gotta love what you do, right? And my view is very simple. Things will go wrong. They have to go wrong. It's Murphy's Law, man. I mean, it's going to happen. But is it earth-shattering wrong? Can you learn from it and move on? I mean, you will make mistakes. People will make mistakes. But in the grand scheme of things, I look back, I look even forward. I'm so fortunate to have this platform. I'm so fortunate to have the family that I do. Okay. I'm fortunate that I have the ability to switch off and unwind and relax in a different completely different geography when I want to. And all that is a function of, I guess it is nature, nurture, but it's also the ovarian lottery, right? This is kind of where I was fortunate to be born. Now, if you don't stop to be thankful and grateful for what you have, then you constantly want to compare yourself to the next big thing, and there's always somebody bigger and better, right? And therefore,
Yeah,
I look back and think,
absolutely.
okay, Lemon Tree's market cap is 13 times ours. Okay, so what's the big deal? What am I lacking? That I'm not lacking very much in my day to day.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we're complacent?
Yeah.
No, you're motivated to perform better, but along with that motivation, you're extremely grateful for the journey that you're on. And I think gratefulness is something that kind of keeps me extremely positive.
Yeah, they say like if you can do a gratitude prayer every night, that can also help a great deal in sanity. But I agree with you 100%. There will always be somebody who is doing things better, and can you use that as a source of inspiration as well. So, Arjun, thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure. And it's conversations like these that remind us that hospitality isn't just a business, it's a legacy built on vision, people, and purpose. So, thank you for joining me and for being such a great, inspiring voice in the industry. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Voices of Hospitality, powered by RateGain, where we continue to bring you the stories behind the leaders shaping the future of travel. Thank you, Arjun.
Thanks, Bhanu. Thank you. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for powering most of Indian hospitality. I look forward to doing more with you.